the meaning of life, the purpose of life. Many people want to know what the meaning or the purpose of their life is. They ask their friends, they ask family, relatives, and in some cases, they even go to psychics who tell them stuff like, your goal is to be the best XYZ you can. Where XYZ can be accountant, teacher, parent, whatever. Psychics are very good at telling you what you want to hear. They have to be to stay in business. I'm speaking from experience here. Having been reduced of my wealth quite a few times. For many years, I too wondered what the purpose of my life was. The TV, our media, books, movies, they all give us this impression that we have a goal or a target in life, like a video game. And if we don't achieve this goal, we lose the game. So the hero always have a motive or a goal, whether it is to defeat the villain, get the girl, or do both while surviving an explosion in a moving car while jumping out of a bridge. You get the idea. The problem is that most of us don't have a villain that needs killing, or a beautiful hot girl or boy who is perfect for us and who is our inverted comma open soulmate, inverted comma closed. Most of us aren't curing cancer or saving little babies or saving the whales. Or setting the interest rate. Most of us do boring jobs at boring companies that sometimes pay well and sometimes don't. And the question always is, here I am making widgets for the Acme company. These widgets serve no purpose. They don't help anyone. So what am I doing with my life? What is the purpose of my life? And hence the visit to psychics, astrologers, and sometimes gurus. But asking someone what the purpose of your life is like asking someone why you have stomachache. or why you're feeling hungry. Only you know why you're feeling hungry or why you have stomachache. It is not someone else's job to know or to find out for you or even care. The first thing to understand is life is not a video game. There isn't a final goal, a final target. Many spiritual people believe that enlightenment or nirvana or moksha or going to heaven is the ultimate goal of spirituality. But nothing could be more wrong than this. There is no final goal in life, and this includes the spiritual life. There's nothing to do, nothing to accomplish. We are perfect as we are. This does not mean you stop working in the world and run to some forest. It is just changing our way of thinking, our way of living in the future. For what is the search for goals or the search for a quest but a way to live in the future? All these spiritual goals, enlightenment or whatever, can only happen in the future. And that's why you run after them. Because you're scared of the present. The present moment is very uncomfortable. If you sit quietly for a minute, you start getting thoughts of anger, depression, sex, and other feelings you have been trying to suppress. The mind escapes from these problems by either running into the future or hiding in the past. Usually, younger people prefer to run into the future, while older people prefer to hide in the past. The olden times were so good. The ancient times were so good. There was a golden age when everybody loved everyone. When we were growing up, we didn't have any of this nonsense. The truth is that when you were growing up, you might not have had this nonsense, but you had your own nonsense. Because the human mind, the cause of all your problems, has not changed for thousands, perhaps millions of years. The outer form of the problems may change, but the underlying problem, a mind unsatisfied with anything, has not changed. and will not change no matter how much you project into the future. You will not become richer, healthier, wiser, or more spiritual in the future. We all dream that one day we'll be millionaires, drive fancy cars, live in a big house, dump our current husband or wife for a new one. But the fact is, 10 or 20 or 30 years from now, you will be stuck in the same job, the same car, and the same wife or the same husband. There is no future, especially if you just keep daydreaming about the future, daydreaming about your perfect life, your goal in life. And this includes spirituality. You will not become enlightened 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or in the next lifetime. That's why the idea of reincarnation has done so much harm. If you go to places like India, they say things like, "Oh, I can always try next lifetime," or "I have been so sinful in this life, I cannot become enlightened in this life, I'll try again next lifetime." As if God or the universe cares about your sins or cares about all the mistakes you have done. You can become awake in a second, in a microsecond, and in fact, that's how long it takes to awake. Not even a microsecond. The idea that you can only become awake in a future life or in a few years is your excuse not to do the work today. None of us live in a video game universe, so we don't have overarching or big goals. But that doesn't mean that there is nothing to do or nothing to achieve, or that there is nothing you should be striving for. The point is, when you ask, what is my purpose or goal in life? It is usually the egoic mind, the part of the mind that identifies with the body. That is the one asking the question. The egoic mind becomes bored of everything and always wants a new challenge, a fresh challenge, something to look forward to in the future. And that's why it wants a goal or a purpose in life, so it can continue justifying its existence. So you can tell yourself, "Oh, in 10 years from now I'll be super rich and super enlightened. Ooh la la." This gives your mind an excuse to stay alive. And you know the mind doesn't always lie. Sometimes you might work hard and you might become rich. Obviously, luck is required. Your background also depends. But maybe you do have a goal in life, like to become rich or start your own business or become enlightened, and you work hard toward that. Maybe you spent 10 years meditating. Maybe you spent 10 years trying to start your own business. Maybe you succeed, you get the business you want. Maybe you don't. The problem is that the present moment will always be there, and your mind hates the present moment. It will find something else to complain about. If your business is successful, you will be complaining about how lazy your employees are, how much tax you have to pay, how the rules change every day and are bankrupting you. If your business fails, you will be complaining about how the system is rigged, how a few greedy rich bankers control all the wealth, and how hardworking people like you cannot get a break. Your mind will always find something to complain about because your mind hates the present, this moment. It wants to live in the future, or it wants to live in the past. But freedom, true freedom, cannot be found in the future or in the past. It can be found in the now. And I know this is a cliche, I know all these Facebook posts. Live in the moment, there is no future, there is no past. With an inspiring photo of a woman wearing really tight yoga pants. And all the men liking that photo. Not because of the spiritual message, but because they like the woman in the tight yoga pants. That's a cliche, isn't it? Live in the moment. But there's a reason it is a cliche, because there's an element of truth in it. The truth is that this very moment, this very second, this very breath, this very moment is the time to become enlightened. There is no future, there is no purpose, there is no goal. This does not mean that the universe is meaningless or empty. The world of form, which includes everything you can see, touch, feel, hear, smell, or even think about. The world of form is meaningless. There is no meaning in the world around you. If you're sitting on a chair, the chair has no meaning. The house that you live in has no meaning. Even the trees and the parks and the mountains have no meaning. Because the world of form has no meaning in itself. It gets meaning by the consciousness, by the awareness that powers the world of form. This consciousness, awareness, called being, spirit, God, is the reason anything has meaning, anything has purpose, anything has a reasons to exist. The reason we are also sad is because we look for meaning in the outer world, when the outer world has no meaning. The outer world is like an eggshell that has been hatched. The baby, the little chicken has come out of the egg. And you have the empty shell left. It is solid. You can feel it, you can touch it. But the egg is empty. You cannot make an omelette out of it. You cannot play with the baby chicken inside. You can't even eat it. That's the world of form. It is empty of meaning. It is empty of joy and peace. That is not to say the world is evil or bad. The world just is as it is. But it has no meaning, no purpose. And if you try to look for meaning in the outer world, you are bound to find disappointment. That's why the mind's quest for a purpose of life, for the meaning of life, is so wasteful. The mind, when it asks, what is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? It always looks outward. It looks to gurus or teachers or psychics or astrologers or whatever, religious books. It looks to other people. Never inside. Because the mind is scared of what is inside. Because the mind knows that what is hidden inside is death. At least for the mind, it is death. And so, the mind looks for answers in all the wrong places. In the future, in the past, in the outer world, anywhere but here, anywhere but inside. The only place it can get answers. That's the one place it avoids. It's like the old story of the drunk who's searching for his keys beneath a lamp, a street lamp, and someone asks him, "Where did you drop your keys?" He said, "I dropped them somewhere 5 feet behind me." So the man asks him, "Why are you looking here then?" The drunk says, "Because there is light here. That place is too dark." We are like that drunk. We're looking for all the easy answers. And I'll accept life does have easy answers. But those easy answers cannot be found by the mind. The mind cannot know the truth. The mind cannot grasp the truth. Even for awakened people, people who have felt an awakening can know something beyond the mind, something beautiful beyond the mind, but they cannot always explain it in words. They cannot always communicate that to others, which is why all these religious debates start. Is God real or not? Is the universe just a void? Is there a heaven or hell? Which religion is the right one? You can experience the truth, but you cannot explain it using words. Because words are, in the English language, you only have 26 letters. And 26 letters are not enough to explain the infinite. It doesn't matter, even if you had 1,000,000 letters, you still wouldn't be able to explain the infinite. Because the infinite is, by definition, beyond any explanation, any understanding, any grasping by the mind. And yet, the mind always tries to grasp. It wants to capture the truth, to hold it, to understand it, to break it down, to analyze it. That's why my religion is better than your religion starts. Usually people starting these debates don't have any awakening experience. Their only knowledge comes from second-hand books or from listening to others. And from this point of view, debate is perfectly acceptable because they haven't felt the truth. They haven't experienced the truth. So they must try to cut the truth into small parts and then analyze each part. And that's why scientists can say there is no God, because they cannot study it with the mind, with the instruments. But like I've said, the mind can never grasp the infinite. And to know what your real purpose is, you must touch the infinite. You don't have to live in the infinite, the universe, the being, the God all the time. But you at least have to touch it, even if for a few seconds. Just 1 second of contact with your own inner being is worth more than a million years of reading spiritual texts or listening to other people about what religion or what God is. There is a purpose, a meaning to this universe. You have a purpose. I have a purpose. The people around you have a purpose. But it is not a purpose that can be understood by the mind. You have to go beyond the mind. And you already know how, because I've told you, by meditation. What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? If you're stuck in the mind, the answer is nothing. Your life has no meaning or purpose. Because the mind can only look for purpose in the outer world, the world of form. And this world of form is by definition meaningless. And so your life is meaningless. Before you go ahead and kill yourself, let me stop you right there. Your current life, the life in which you live in the mind, you live in the world of form, that life is meaningless. But you're given a method, you're given a technique to go beyond the mind, to go into pure awareness. And life there, life in pure consciousness is not meaningless. In fact, you won't even need to ask what is the meaning of life. Because such silly questions they will all fall away. They will melt away in the heat of the spiritual light. Our own inner being, our inner teacher, has no questions. It has no doubts. It does not need to get the answer from others. It does not need religious texts or gurus. It just knows it. It knows the truth. That is the power of awakening. You know the truth at a deep heart level. And the outer world of form can no longer affect you. So the next time you feel low or depressed, you are working in your factory making something useless like a donut or a widget that nobody uses, and you're thinking, what the hell is the use of this? What is the purpose of my life? Let me assure you, none is the answer. Even so-called spiritual people or people working in the world and doing good things like curing cancer or helping the poor, even their life can have no meaning if they're only working on the outer self, if they're only curing the outer disease, then they're still stuck in the world of form. And even though we may treat them as noble people, their life is as empty or as meaningless as ours. When you're in touch with the inner being, everything you do has meaning. You don't have to save rainforests or cure AIDS or save little puppies from drowning. Everything you do has meaning. Washing the dishes has meaning. Cleaning the floor has meaning. Playing with your children has meaning. Having sex has meaning. Driving a car has meaning. Because you're in touch with your own inner self, the source of all meaning. And when you're connected with your inner being, you're connected to the universe. And when I say connected to the inner being, I don't mean in some wishy-washy way. I mean it's a concrete term. It's a concrete spiritual term. You will know it when you feel it. Like the Buddha said, it will lead to the end of suffering. Because you realize your oneness with the universe. So when I say touch with the inner being, I don't mean in a new agey way where you're writing your feelings on a paper or looking in a mirror and saying, I love you so much. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what we mean. When I say inner being, I don't mean the inner psychological being. I mean our true self, which is the true self of everyone, which has been called God by the religions. But it is not the God of your temples and churches, the God throwing thunder from the air because you touched your sex organ. Not that type of God. It is our own spirit, inner teacher, our being as it were. When you touch this being, and this is a very concrete term, you cannot mistake it for anything else. Everything you do has meaning. How do you touch your inner being? By meditation, like I've said many times. And it can take time, it can take years, that's fine. The actual awakening process takes but a microsecond. But it can take many years of inner work before you reach that state. And that's also fine. Just understand that if you look for meaning in the outer world, even if you do good things like helping the poor people or saving whales, your life will still be meaningless because you're working at the wrong level. You're working at the world of form, which is inherently meaningless. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do good in the world. Helping others gives us a spiritual boost. It helps us get out of our own mind, our own egoic chatter, me. Twitter, Facebook, I'm going to post my pictures on Facebook, Instagram or whatever. It gets you out of that. But by itself, it is not enough to make you happy or give you meaning to life. Your life only gets meaning when you learn to go inside and connect with the inner being inside. Until then, your life has no meaning. But don't be depressed because life isn't supposed to have meaning. You're not supposed to find meaning in this so-called life. You're supposed to find the truth, the meaning of yourself inside of you. So meditate, take a deep breath. This is the meaning of life. One breath after another. No need to think about what will happen 10 years from now. All the spirituality you need is available to you right here, right now. One breath at a time. Thank you for listening. I hope you find meaning in your life by touching your own inner being. And I hope you find joy and peace wherever you are. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you want a free course on how to contact your inner teacher, your own spiritual guide, the part of the divine who lives inside of you and is guiding your spiritual progress, then please go to my website, thepathtojoy.org. That is thepathtojoy.org. Thank you.